Hello students, how are you all? Hope you are all doing well. Right, life is a do it yourself project. Whatever you do today, it will surely reflect it for tomorrow. Right, based on this, I'll tell you a small story. Once there lived a carpenter, right, and he has been working for 30 to 40 years. After having a long period of his life towards working, he would like to retire himself. So he will be going to the employer contractor and says that I want to resign myself and want to enjoy my rest of the time with my family members as well as with my children. Then the employer contractor thinks for a while. Okay, can you do me a small favor? That is the last help to me. Hesitantly, without willingly, our carpenter will accept the thing, and he will be asked to construct a house. And this carpenter, he was not at all in a position to construct a house. Later, with all the second quality, shabby environment makes him to construct a house which is not good at all the things what he has done previously. అంటే ఇంతకుముందు తను ఎంత పర్ఫెక్షన్గా ఎంత మంచిగా చేస్తాడో వాటికన్నిటికీ విరుద్ధంగా ఉంటుందన్నమాట ఇల్లు కట్టడం అనమాట. ఫైనల్లీ in him, when he was constructing the house, a kind of frustration, a kind of unwillingness starts building in it, right? And finally the house was built and it will be handed over to the employer contractor. Then one day the employer contractor will call the carpenter and he wants to speak to him. But in the meanwhile, the things which are running in the mind of the contractor are did the employer contractor has come to know the way how I have constructed the house. అంటే తనలో అంతా నెగిటివ్ థాట్స్ వస్తుంటాయి అనమాట. ఎందుకంటే తను ఇంట్రెస్ట్ పెట్టి చేయలేదు కాబట్టి సరే అని ఎలాగో అలాగెళ్ళి ముందు నిల్చుంటాడు అనమాట. దెన్ ద ఎంప్లాయర్ కాంట్రాక్టర్ సింప్లీ హీ స్మైల్స్ అండ్ గివ్స్ ద కీస్ టు దట్ పర్టికులర్ carpenter. Then he comes to know what kind of house has constructed to himself. This is what the same thing we have to be think in the same way. That is, ఇక్కడ కార్పెంటర్ పొజిషన్ ఏదైతే ఉందో అది మనమే ఇమాజిన్ చేసుకోవాలి. దిస్ ఈజ్ వాట్ ద సేమ్ థింగ్ we are happening in our life. Parents, they keep on saying you to read for the exams, right? Even the teachers are guiding you to make your things, because one day or the other day these people will not be there. It is you who has to take your own decisions, right? Friends and చెప్తాం money, but at the end of the day they will provide you for some period of time, not for the complete period of time, right? Today you have got enough time for the utilization of the mobile, for other social activities. From now onwards, try to put them aside for a temporary period of time till your exams are done, right? Because whatever the choice you take today, it will be the result of tomorrow. Our topic for today's class, we are going to discuss about the major discourses, and we are going to discuss only 4 discourses which are really important for us. And the first one is the news report, the second one is about the letter writing, and the third one is the biographical sketch, and the fourth one is the speech. We all know that these discourses are carrying 15 marks. One will be the major discourse and the other will be the minor discourse. In the major discourse we will be having the choice, whereas the minor discourse you will not have any choice. So now we will be going through these major discourses one by one, right children? Shall we? Now we will be discussing how to write a news report, what is the necessity to write a news report, and what are the guidelines to be followed to write a newspaper. What exactly is a news report, right? A news report is a clear written for clear purpose and to a particular audience. Specific confirmation and evidence are presented, analyzed and applied to a particular problem or issue, right? Whenever you are asked to write a report, you need to follow certain guidelines and certain instructions. What are those guidelines and what are those instructions, we will let you know now, right? And we need to understand exactly what a news report is, right? And there are many reports, like it might be a business report or it might be any general report right? In order to make a good report, what exactly you need to make it. Now we will be discussing about the news report. When we write a news report, what are the guidelines to be followed in order to make a good news report? We will be discussing in the class. First of all, we will discuss what is a news report. A report is a written for clear purpose and to a particular audience. Specific confirmation and evidences are presented as well as analyzed and applied to a particular problem or issue, right? Before we go to exam point of view, firstly we will understand what exactly is news report. If you write a report, in which perspective should we write a report and what language should be used in order to make a good report. If you are going to understand the report, what is a good report, we have to cover 4 important points. The very first one is that we need to analyze the facts and evidence that are relevant to the specific problem or issue of the report. Later, you have to demonstrate the important points like understand the purpose, gather and analyze the information, as well as you have to make the structural material in a logical and coherent order, right? That should be linked. It should not get deviated from point to point. And next we need to follow the brief report, and you have to make thoughtful recommendations wherever are required. Next we have to go with the structure, and structure has got 5 important points. The very first one is introduction, explanation, present relevant evidence to support, as well as you have to comment what you are writing, and then you have to give a conclusion to your report. So all these are very important to make a very good news report. Besides, you have to, in order to make a good news report in the exam point of view, you need to follow these lines, right? Whenever you write a report, you always make sure that you are writing the report to a third person, that is he, she, it, they. At the same time, always prefer a passive voice, as well as the tense should be always in the past. That is very important in making the news report. And even you should be able to understand where the report has been collected. That is, you should have the questions like which starts with WH, when, where, why, who. All those content material should be included in the news report, right? Then only when you make a news report that can be easily understood by the reader, whoever reads your news report. Right now, from the exam point of view, what are the points to be followed, we are going to discuss now, right? First of all, you have to go with a heading. Heading plays an important role in making a very good news report, which is followed by the byline. Here the byline refers to who wrote the article. Later you need to go ahead with the place as well as date. There is one more important point which is underlined in between this. You have to write place as well as date, where the news, when the news was published and from where it has been collected. And next, the first 3 lines of the introduction has to be commenced with a very good idea. That is, it sets the scene and summarizes the main points of the article: who, what, when and where. You have to go through that introduction very carefully. Next, you have to go with the body of the letter, how and why, where it has to be included at least with 6 to 8 lines. You have to make this body of the line into 2 paragraphs. Here, by making this body of the letter in 2 paragraphs, it will give you very clear-cut information and also helps you to expand the idea of the news report. Next, you will be asked to give your suggestions besides having the quotes, photograph as well as caption, right? And last, you have to go ahead with the conclusion. And after conclusion, you have to make your own information about the incident what you are writing. And last, you have to underline the hard words that will really fetch you good marks for the examination. Now I will be explaining you in detail about the news report step by step. The very first one, what we need to go ahead is, when you are writing the news report, you have to go ahead with the headline. the very first point in the exam point of view you are going to write is headline. This headline should be very brief, right? How should be this headline? It should be very brief. It should not be more than 4 or 5 words, and at the same time it should be eye-catchy, as well as it should be attractive. All these things should be covered in the headline. Next, headline should not be lengthy and it should not describe anything. Make sure this headline, whichever you have written, should be very short, and at the same time it should not be lengthy, it should not be descriptive, and it should make sure that it should be an eye-catchy as well as attractive, right? And the second one is the byliner. That is, if you are going to write this byliner, you should write who wrote this article, at the same time which newspaper has printed this article, whether it is a United newspaper or it was or it belongs to Deccan Chronicle or the Hindu. You have to make it, and at the same time you have to write down the date as well as place beside this point. So in order to make a good speech, you have to follow certain rules and regulations. The very first thing, you need to keep the heading title. Title is mandatory, right? Whether you are writing about a self-governing day or else Independence Day or about any topic, the title is mandatory for any speech, right? And the title, whatever you are going to give it for a speech, it should be attractive, as well as it should make the audience to get back into the attention as soon as you give your title of the topic. Next, you have to go ahead with a wishing. That is, everyone might be listening to your speech, so to the viewers it's better you wish, whether it is a good morning, good afternoon or good evening, doesn't matter, but it's mandatory to wish that audience, and that wishing should not exceed more than 1 line, right? It should not exceed more than 1 line. And the next topic, that is the next heading, will be wishing is done. Next will be the formal addressing. This is very, very important, because after having a wish to the common, we have to go with the formal addressing, because we will be having the dignitaries on the dais, especially the headmaster sir, as well as your teachers, as well as your friends. So make sure that you have to go ahead with the formal addressing, and make sure that formal addressing should not cross 2 to 3 lines. The very first one is wishing everyone, second one is the formal addressing, and before those 2 points you should have the heading. So now you will be going to the third point, that is the introduction of yourself and your topic. This is also very, very important. Whenever you are giving a speech, it's very mandatory that you need to introduce yourself and you need to introduce your topic as well, because this gives a information who you are and what you are going to speak about, right? And next we will be going into the introduction of the topic, and that is, the topic content should not exceed more than 6 to 8 lines. Whatever you are going to write, now you have to make 3 paragraphs. That is, the very first paragraph you have to make some introduction, where the introduction carries a very strong message, followed with the second paragraph, the second most important points, and the last paragraphs you can go with the conclusion. Make sure that every paragraph has got 6 to 8 lines, 6 to 8 lines and 6 to 8 lines, right? That will make you a lengthy one, that will add marks to your answer, right? And always I told you, so make the strongest point in the beginning and the second strongest point in the second paragraph and the weakest point somewhere in the middle, right? And make sure that at the conclusion you make some of your suggestions, that is valuable ideas, because after you give your speech, it should make the audience to think, yes, what are our duties, yes, what our great leaders have got for us, or what our parents. So it depends upon the speech what the child has given in front of you. So make sure that the audience should feel your speech, and at the same time you may have a chance to give some valuable suggestions, and even you can have a chance to pose some questions to the children as well, right? So this is about the speech. And last but not least, even you can conclude a small conclusion with what thanks note, right? You can thank, like, thanks for giving a wonderful opportunity, right? So you can conclude your speech in such a pattern. So altogether it will make you a lengthy, and make sure that you write a passage not less than 2.5 page, 1.5 page to 2.5 page, because these are all carrying 10 marks. Until or unless you put the matter over there, you can't get the marks, right children? Next we will be entering into the next discourse. The next discourse is about letter writing. This letter writing plays an important role in paper 2 discourse. For sure there are many chances, more percentage to get this as your exam discourse. So be cautious, especially when you are writing this letter. And usually when it comes to a point of letter writing, it is nothing but an exchange of communication between your family members, or it might be through the official members. So based on this format, this letter writing is of two types. One is formal and the other one is informal letter writing. When it comes to the point of formal letter writing, it will be written to the higher officials, as well as to the public government officers, as well as the students to the teachers, as well as the teachers to the headmasters, right? All these things comes under formal, whereas informal will be purely concerned to the relatives, as well as a son and to a father, or father to a son. It all depends, right? So now we'll be first discussing about the letter writing, especially the formal letter, right? And before we go to this letter, let me tell you some important guidelines to be followed. And always try to use the language, whatever the language you are going to use, that is the polite language should be mentioned in the letter writing. And next, make sure that because whenever you start a letter, make sure that the language whatever you use should be polite, because it describes our personality, how we are representing, how we are presenting it to our higher officials, right? And at the same time, make sure that you go with the sequential orders. Sequential order means what has to be written first, what has to be followed next. That is very, very important in letter writing. And even appropriate format is also very, very important. And usage of persuasive language. Persuasive language here refers to, it should be very convincing manner, because whenever you are raising a problem what you are facing in a street, or whenever you want to take a leave from your school, or whenever you want to take a leave from your office, so it should be a polite manner, and it should be convincing manner towards your higher officials, right? And last, you have to use the coherence. Coherence, it refers to the nothing but a request, right? And the presentation should also be in the logical manner. So all these things plays an important role in order to make a very good letter. Now we'll discuss an example. For example, you want to write a letter for your school, like installing a CC cameras in your school. So you want to write a letter as a parent to the headmaster. So whenever you want to write it, first of all you have to write the place, right? First of all you have to write the place. Where is the place? That is in the Shadnagar. So followed by the date. First you need to write the place Shadnagar, followed by date. Always make sure that the date should be with for example, today is the date 28. You have to write 28, afterwards th, followed by May, comma 2020, followed by full stop. So you should format a very good format, especially when writing the date. Next will be the sender's address from, that is as you are a parent. For example, the parent name is Ramadevi. Ramadevi, house number, followed by the area she lives, and place Shadnagar. Next, receiver's address, that is to the headmaster, Sri Satyasai High School, Shadnagar, right? Even it's better to write the pin code as well if needed, right? So you have to write the place followed by the date. This is the informal letter, right? Place, date, followed by the sender's address as well as the receiver's address. Receiver's address here refers to the one who is taking the letter. So sender's address, the one who is going to write the letter. Thereafter you need to write the salutation. Here you can write respected sir as well as dear sir, or you can write simply sir or madam. Even you write dear sir or dear madam, it is also right. You need not worry about it, right? And next you have to write about the subject. The subject is like you need to put a request of CC cameras in the school in order to have a good environment, a safety environment in the school, right? So you should make sure that you have to put the subject in 1 or 2 lines. Make sure that the subject should not extend to the second line as well, so that whenever you write the subject, the clear point will be understood by the receiver, right? Next we have to start body of the letter. This body of the letter should be of 3 paragraphs, right? You can start the body of the letter. I, Ramadevi, resident of Sharnabasappa colony, and request you sir to provide CC cameras at your school. So you can start, I Ramadevi, a resident of Sharnabasappa colony, as my child is studying in your school, I request you to install the CC cameras in your school, right? That is, sometimes you can even mention in the second paragraph that outsiders and are entering into the school. In order to have the safety environment to the child, I request you to have the I mean like you can keep on adding some 6 to 8 lines in each paragraph. In such a way you can have 3 paragraphs, right? You can have the 3 paragraphs in the letter. Later in the last line you have to go ahead with the leave taking, and the leave taking should be your name, right? Your name should be written here and your signature. And before that you can have one more line here, that is, we sincerely or we expect you to make the upload of this I mean like CC cameras at the earliest. You can put a request here, right? This is about the body of the letter, followed by leave taking. When it comes to the point of formal letter, right? The formal letter also involves the same, but there are few changes. You can here you can add the address, right? That is like street colony followed by place. Shadnagar street colony means Sharnabasappa colony. Place like Shadnagar followed by date. And here you need not write the sender's address, right? You can write the receiver's address. So here you will be kept as 2. And make sure that whenever you write from, whenever you write to, don't use any punctuation marks. Punctuation marks ఎట్టి పరిస్థితుల్లో పెట్టకండి. అది కామా కావచ్చు, ఫుల్ స్టాప్ కావచ్చు, ఏవి పెట్టకండి, రైట్? ఇక్కడ నెక్స్ట్ మీరు టు ద 2 రాసిన తర్వాత కూడా ఏమి కామా పెట్టకండి. టు యువర్ ఫ్రెండ్, యు ఆర్ రైటింగ్ ఎ లెటర్ టు యువర్ ఫ్రెండ్ డిస్క్రైబింగ్ అబౌట్ ద ప్రిపరేషన్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ ఎగ్జామ్స్, రైట్? టు మై Rama, right? Ramakrishna, address where he lives, right? Galigoda, example, etc, etc, right? Here you can write the salutation, dear Rama, right? Dear Ramakrishna. You can write like that, followed by the body of the letter. Don't write the subject in case of informal letters. You did not write any subject in the informal letters, right? Next, after writing the body of the letter in 2 to 3 paragraphs, you can conclude it. And whenever you start a letter in case of informal, you can ask how are you, hope things are doing well. You can add all these points, and then you can enter into the things what are happening in the present scenario. There you can conclude how is your preparation, and I got my hall ticket, or else how is your preparation. You can add all these points in the 3rd paragraph. And you can add here, convey my best regards to your parents, right? As you are writing to your friend here, as it is a informal letter, you can write yours lovingly, right? Nandu, that is Nandishwar. You can write all these points over here. You can write Nilesh. You can, as you wish, whatever the names comes to you, you can write it over here as a leave taking, okay? And at the same time, you are not writing the sender's address over here. Make sure the sender's address will be at the bottom of the page. So here it will be adding from Nandishwar, right? From Sharnabasappa colony, Shad Nagar, and close it. You can write the pin code as well. So make sure that the letter you write formal or informal, you have to follow these rules and regulations in order to get good marks, right? This is the last discourse. What we are going to discuss now, that's about the biographical sketch. Biography. In the exam, the examiner will be giving you some clues. Based on that clues, you need to make some paragraphs and you need to write the biography. A biography is nothing but it is written by someone else. When it comes to the autobiography, if I write something about myself, it's nothing but called as an autobiography. And if I write something about someone else, it's nothing but called as biography. And the biography majorly includes the life activities of a particular person, right? And even it includes the facts about that person's life. It includes the special awards and recognitions to be mentioned, and even the main personality, that is the characters, traits, refers to characters, and why other people like him or her will be given in your exam point of view. Now we'll describe what is meant by a biosketch. What exactly is a biosketch, right? It's nothing but a descriptive form of writing. Biography is nothing but a descriptive form of writing. Here you need to write a biography of that particular person, and whenever you want to write the biography of that particular person, you should know what kind of person he is, and you should know what are his achievements, and you should be studying about the clues what he has given in the exam paper, right? So a biography is nothing but a biographical sketch is nothing but a you are writing something about a writing an account of that particular person, right? And I told you this biography is nothing but a descriptive writing. Here you have to make a particular eye detail of that person, so that you can gain a very good knowledge over that particular matter what has given in the examiner. And main using of wide vocabulary is also very important point when you are going to write the biography. So because you need to praise that particular person for what all he have achieved in his life, so making a very good vocabulary is very important. And make sure that whatever the points he has given in the exam, that is in the question paper, some clue points, try to expand each and every point that has given in the question paper, right? And you should have the ability to visualize the person, right? That is what exactly he is belonging, you have to visualize it, right? That is what we need to make a very good biography, right? Now we will be discussing about how to write a biography. What are the steps to be followed to write a good biography? For example, you are asked to write about a famous personality, Mahatma Gandhi, right? Or else Jawaharlal Nehru. You can write Bhagat Singh, and you can go for the cricket players like Virat Kohli or Sachin Tendulkar. It doesn't matter, they are all legendary who are born in India. So you need to make proper sentence formation, right? Whatever the concept he has given, you should make it as factual. That is, the information should be linked. That's very important when you are writing this biographies, right? And at the same time, make sure that whenever you are writing the biographies, try to avoid the controversial things. That's also very important aspect you need to avoid, especially whenever you are writing the biographies. And make sure that you use the appropriate adjectives. That's very important in case of this biography. And you should make sure that the achievements as well as awards, recognitions should be written in the last. This is also important when you are going to write the biography. And always use simple words rather than exaggerating. ఉన్నదానికంటే కూడా ఎక్కువగా పోరాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. ఉన్నవారికి సింపుల్గా రాయడానికి ప్లాన్ చేసుకోండి, రైట్? And make sure that whenever you write a biography, it should have a beginning as well as it should have the middle portion, and at the same time it should also have the conclusion. This is very important when you are writing the biographies. For example, you are asked to write about a cricket player, so you can take Virat Kohli. Right, in the very first paragraph you can write about the introduction, where he was born, and you can name his parents as well, and where was his schooling. Right, by this the very first paragraph introduction will be done. Then in the second paragraph you can enter at what period of time he has entered into the cricketing field, thereafter when he has entered into the Indian team, and how far he has been considered as a great player, what made him a great player, what centuries or what winning moments made by him a very good player, I mean considered player for the Indian team. These all the things you have tried. After that you can write about the recognition, what was the awards he has received, what are the recognitions he has received, how many man of the matches, man of the series, you can also add over this point, and what kind of nature he has got. He is a very aggressive player. When someone tries to make him in a negative way, he replies in a aggressive manner. That has to be mentioned, and why people like us like him or found like him a lot, because every time when India is in the critical situation, or whenever we need to chase very huge targets, he is such a kind of player where he keeps on hitting the runs and finally makes India to win the matches. So that's the reason all the cricket lovers love him in a right manner. Right, this is about the biography. Okay, and these are all the major discourses. You have skipped the essay. It's nothing, just like a, you can go ahead with like that of a speech itself. It doesn't. And next, last but not least, children, every day keep speaking to yourself. That's very very important, because it's you who is going to take the exam. No one is going to write your exam. So make your preparation very hard, and utilize every minute from now, and listen to the instructions given by your teachers as well as by your parents, and use the judicial, I mean like make use of this available time till your last exam. Okay, thank you children.